What's good everyone, it's Steve from Sneaker Tech Talk, back with another video today. Now for today's video, it's a bit of an oddball, yes I know, but it is the performance review of the Air Jordan 1 High 85 in this band colorway. So without further ado, let's take a look at how these shoes performed on court. Alright, so here are both shoes. One is untied because I do want to talk about the insoles that I did use in these. Well, I have played some time with them on court, but as always with every performance review, let's start off with the traction. Obviously these come with the iconic Air Jordan 1 traction pattern. I had these on court for only about 3 or 3.5 hours on 2 sessions. I've played in Air Jordan 1s for years. Back in 01 I played in the Royals, I played in the Lost and Founds, the black and white High 85s, and a ton of other pairs throughout the years. The traction has always been superb. Like, the shoe's standout feature, other than the style of the shoe just being amazing, the traction is undefeated. You hear Nightwing say it is the greatest traction of all time. I've played in them for over 2 decades now, and I can say the exact same thing. These are superb on court, and that is why they score a perfect 10 out of 10. But what you're getting here is kind of this round or radial portion right here, some stars at the toe, and then just whatever this rubber compound is, and just the overall pattern. It just performs great on lateral movements, linear movements. You will be good to go in the Air Jordan 1 High 85 as far as the traction goes. And again, that's why it scores a 10 out of 10, because they're great indoors, outdoors, you name it. This traction pattern will hold you down if you decide to play in an Air Jordan 1. Now, as far as the cushioning goes with this shoe, it's probably the shoe's weakest point, if not at least one of them. You are getting a rubber cup outsole and midsole with a polyurethane wedge at the back of the shoe. Encapsulated in that polyurethane wedge is an airsole unit at the back only, nothing in the forefoot. In my opinion, you can't feel any of that. These are kind of like playing in kind of like sandals or bricks, honestly. There's no cushioning underfoot. Now, when I played in the Lost and Found pair about 2 years ago, I did have some serious underfoot pain when I did play in those because I didn't swap out the insoles. Now, the stock insoles that do come with these shoes are this kind of polyurethane dual density foam insole. I didn't even bother playing in these because they're so thin. They add a little bit of step and comfort when you're kind of just wearing them around outside and casually, but I opted to swap those for the Game Day Pro. They have a dual density foam compound at the back and the forefoot of the shoe right here, and then they have this super rigid plate underfoot that offers some really nice arch support right here at the midfoot, and this plate is very rigid, so it adds some nice rigidity. It adds a little bit of step and comfort at the back of the shoe, and it just really housed my foot within the shoe and just gave it a nice underfoot comfort right off the bat. Nothing substantial to the point where it was like amazing, obviously, but it added more than the stock insoles. I'll be honest with you, these are kind of like a 2.5 or a 3 out of 10 as far as comfort goes. Maybe a 3 with those Game Day Pros as far as having that underfoot. With the stock insole, probably like a 1 or a 2. You're not going to get really any compression or any nice feeling underfoot. Court feel is like unmatched in these. You can feel all of your movements, but you're not going to get any underfoot comfort in the Air Jordan 1. And I'll give them a 2.5 out of 10. As far as the fit goes with these, I prefer the fit of the High 85s over the High OGs all day and twice on Sunday. Just the fit is true to size in my opinion. For wide footers, I would maybe recommend going up half a size as they're pretty narrow here in the midfoot, but my toe is seated right near the end of the shoe right here, and they just fit like a glove once they're broken in with this material. The tongue is nicely padded throughout. It's just such a nice fitting shoe for me, at least on foot. Casually, they're great. On court, they weren't bad as well. So sound off in the comments on how the Air Jordan 1 High 85s fit your foot. But for me, I would recommend true to size, and especially wearing them casually and even on court, they fit very nicely. And that's why I'm going to give them a very solid 7.5 out of 10. Now, as far as the materials go on this retro right here, keep in mind these shoes did retail for $250 USD. $335 here in Canada, and €200 overseas in Europe. Now, the materials are nice in my opinion. I think that's this shoe's strongest standout feature is the materials. They're very thick, as you can see right here. They take a ton of time to break in. They're still very stiff, but this red portion here, as you can see, there is some creasing. That has broken in and become a lot softer on foot with this red portion. You know, the ankle collar is very dense, but once you have these cinched up on your foot and just laced up, they fit your foot very nicely as far as the materials go. They kind of just hug your foot 360 degrees around the shoe to the point where, for me, it's a very comfortable shoe when, as far as the fit and materials go. The materials honestly are nice. You also have this really nice nylon tongue that is inspired by the 85 pair. But for me, the materials on this retro and some of the other previous high 85s have been superb. Just keep in mind they do take some time to break in, but for me, they're going to score a very solid 9 out of 10. I think the brand did a very good job of offering us some pretty premium materials. Just that price point is pretty brutal in my opinion, but sound off in the comments. If you guys have these, what do you guys think as far as the materials go? Now really quickly, as far as the weight goes for the shoe, the left shoe right here does have the stock insole, and in a US size 10.5, these do weigh 17.8 ounces. With the Move Game Day Pro insole, they do come in at 18.75 ounces, so about an ounce heavier to swap out the insole. It's a lot more comfortable and kind of supportive underfoot, but as far as the weight goes, yes, it's a shoe that's 40 years old. It does weigh quite a bit here today as far as basketball shoe standards here in 2025. And then last but not least, as far as the support goes, now this shoe is not overly a supportive basketball shoe. Obviously, it's kind of like a mid-cut or a high-cut basketball shoe. At the back of the shoe, you do have an internal TPU heel counter, which does a pretty good job of locking your foot in at the back of this shoe right here. Moving your way down from that, you have this leather upper coupled with this rubber cup sole. So on all those hard lateral cuts, that's there to protect you. Now, is it doing a good job? No, your foot's gonna slide over the side of the footbed if you decide to play in these, but that is all there to kind of help you with that. The one thing that this shoe does have that the high OGs don't is this cardboard stroble board. That is an original kind of torsion board. It adds some nice torsional rigidity. That's one thing this has that the high OGs don't. But you know, other than that, that's kind of all you're getting from the shoe. They do have a pretty decently wide and stable base, but overall, this is not a shoe that you should be playing in here in 2025. You know, I wanted to get these on court. I've played in the Lost and Founds, the 2001 Royals, the black and white high 85s. I've played in a slew of Jordan 1s throughout the years, but it's not something I recommend that you do. And if you do, definitely swap out the insoles to something a lot more comfortable, but you're just not gonna get much, if any, support. And that's why I'm gonna give this shoe like a 3 out of 10 as far as the support goes. So that's gonna do it for today's performance review on the Air Jordan 1 High 85 in this band colorway. Am I crazy for doing this? Absolutely. It's ridiculous to be wearing these on court. This is probably gonna be my last time I ever play in an Air Jordan 1, High OG, High 85, you name it. I'm not gonna do it again. I'm in my mid to late 30s now, and it's just not something that's feasible for me at my age with my knees and my ankles. I did want to try these out because of the materials, the overall build quality. They said that they are the closest to the OGs that we've ever got for a retro, and I think that's true. I think the materials, the overall shape and build of this retro is awesome. I just don't think they have any place, obviously, on court here 40 years later from their original release. But like I said, sound off in the comments what you guys think of this shoe, and have you ever played in an Air Jordan 1 on court? Sound off in the comments, but as always, if you guys could like, comment, and subscribe, that would definitely help the channel a ton. And check out my Instagram over at Sneaker Tech Talk, as it is an extension of my YouTube channel with all my pickups, basketball footage, and nostalgia as a whole. As always, thanks for watching today's video, and until next time, peace.